A while back, I took a look at some ports of Valve games to the PlayStation Portable. Since then, that video has received a lot of attention and comments, most of which mentioned the fact I forgot to talk about the X-3D engine, as well as some other ports you guys would want me to cover next. And that's what this video will be for. I recommend watching the first part before this one, but at the end of the day, it's up to you. I'd like to thank everyone who watched the video and left some kind words as well as a sub, as that video blew my channel to a point that, although it's nothing legendary, it's in a place I thought I'd never reach. I'd also like to thank Nightplay TV and SH Games for helping me out by sending the Half-Life board I'm going to be covering today. SH Games even sent me a version with better performance, so I'm very grateful for their help. Links to their channels will be in the description, and with all of that said, let's begin. I know that the vast majority of you are here for the elephant in the room, the port of the X-3D engine. And I get it, it's a big deal. In fact, I'm still astonished that I didn't know about it before. But despite all that, let's start with the small stuff. In this case, Left 4 Quake. As the name implies, Left 4 Quake is supposed to be a port of Left 4 Dead running on some version of the Quake engine. In this case, it's our good old pal, the Kurok engine. The game was released all the way back in 2011 by Ripcage Entertainment, and from what I could find, version 0.8 is as far as the project got. Some comments in the game's ModDB page show some users claiming that the creator lost the files and is trying to revive the project, and others saying that they're gonna try to work on the project themselves. All of these either never came to be or are just speculation, so version 0.8 is pretty much the best we have, so let's see what's waiting for us. As usual with any Kurok engine game we've seen so far, we're first greeted with the console. After it finishes loading, we go directly to the map instead of the main menu, though you can access it by pressing start. While we're at the menu, let's see what it has for us. Single player takes you to the Quake difficulty selection map, and if you keep going, you're just gonna have your usual game of Quake. Multiplayer was once again something I didn't have the chance to try, but I'm betting it does something similar to the single player option. Configuration brings you to your usual Kurok engine settings. Story just shows the word story and nothing below it, and Run just asks you if you want to close the game. With a menu like this, I'm guessing the map we're in is all we have to explore, so let's do that. I have to admit I'm not the biggest Left 4 Dead guy, so I don't know if this map is based on any actual location from the series, but anyway, when we enter the building, what really catches your eye is barely anything because of how dark it is. Walking to the light source will greet you with your average brain eater, with some pretty weird movements. But I'd be lying if I said it was the first time I've seen this happen under this engine. I also couldn't talk about these guys without mentioning their voices, which are just hilarious. I tried to explore a bit more of the building, which was quite a challenge with how dark everything was and with all the zombies. Like, seriously, there were so many of them that it was annoying, but also impressive that the PSP was able to handle all of this. After my defeat, I decided to just walk around with no clip in order to explore a bit more, but it's just an average building with a lot of hallways and stairs and soda machines. But yeah, coming from someone who sucks at Left 4 Dead and isn't really a controller player, this is essentially the best I can do. If you're curious to check this out, I still recommend in doing so, and if you need to, I have put download links in the description to all of these ports, as well as websites with some info about them. With that out of the way, it's time to talk about X-3D. But first, what is X-3D? Well, it's essentially an open source version of Valve's Gold Source engine, which was allegedly completely rewritten from scratch by the community and supports the vast majority of Gold Source games, while offering a lot more than the original engine, such as the ability to render way more particles and entities at a time. The version of X-3D we're going to be taking a look at today is X-3D FWGS, which is a fork of the X-3D project, offering some new features, the biggest one being cross-platform support across many CPU architectures, so you can play on devices like your phone, your 3DS, and the most important to us right now, the PSP. As I previously mentioned, I'm going to be trying the engine out by playing Half-Life since it's the Gold Source engine game, with the version SH Games worked on to make the game run better. I'll be once again leaving a link in the description so you can download this version as well as the original. Booting the game can take anywhere between 5 to 30 seconds, depending on which version you're using and the power of your PSP model or emulator. Once it's done loading, however, you're greeted with the menu. I honestly have a love-hate relationship with this menu. I love how it's supposed to replicate the look of the menu found in the CD retail version of Half-Life, and how everything is organized in a very similar way to most Valve games, but this? It's just weird. Is it a glitch? Is it for aesthetic purposes? I seriously have no idea. All the people that I've talked to never even mentioned anything about this, so I'm guessing it's the former. With that aside, let's start a new game, and I now understand why you guys wanted me to cover this version. It's amazing. In the first part, I said that the train cutscene from the ST1 export was, quote, pretty accurate to the original. Well, this one is exactly the same as the original. I mean, this engine is basically the same as Gold Source, so it makes sense. After the riot comes to an end, we don't fall into the void. Instead, we can just keep walking like normal. Great. In the entrance of the facility, I noticed something that was kind of a relief to me. No more of those wobbly models. I still wonder what caused that in the Kirok engine. If anyone has a solid guess, please let me know. When I went to the area with the microwave and soda machines, I yet again noticed something I wasn't able to take for granted in the previous versions I covered. The use button actually works. By default, it's the right arrow button if you're all wondering. Speaking of controls, these are by far the best, to me at least. And as I said before, I'm not really a controller guy and I'm left-handed, so I'm not the best example out there, but give it a go, maybe you'll like them as well. If not, the settings menu is pretty well done, so changing them won't be a hassle. After all of this, I decided to go to the locker room to get the HEV suit and get myself ready to an adventure I've done perhaps too many times. When I got to that part with the 3 scientists, which was what led my journey to an end in the Kirok version, they did manage to open the door for me this time, allowing me to keep going, which is appreciated. With everything going as expected, I was now able to start everything and start the Resonance Cascade. After I got the best weapon in the history of gaming, it was time to do the thing you spend 90% of the game doing, beating up aliens, or at least trying to. I'm not bad at Half-Life, I swear, but even despite trying my best, I still can't manage to hit these guys properly. I'll say it again, I'm just not a controller guy. And after many failures, I decided to go to one of the pre-existing saves. I decided to give Blast Pit a go since it's the one that's the furthest in game out of all of these. And yeah. Yikes. The 3 tentacle creatures aren't really helping the performance, but this is still pretty much playable. And to be honest, this is where I stopped. The game already proved itself to be the best way to play Half-Life on the PSP, and I went through enough chapters to realize that it is most likely possible to finish the game. Yet, due to how bad I am at using a controller, it would take days for me to do it. Maybe I'll leave that to some live stream in the future. And with that said and done, I think the PSP saga has come to an end. I'll most likely cover the PSP again in the future, but I doubt it will be in such an in-depth way as these videos were. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as well as the previous ones, and if you didn't watch the previous videos, I recommend watching them. Feel free to like and subscribe to support the channel, and I wish you all a nice day.